Cooking rice. I'll describe my typical rice cooking method in this article. Depending on the type of rice, I employ either a quick or a safe procedure. I am aware that there are several techniques and suggestions for cooking rice. Please share any helpful advice you may have with me in the comments area below. General principle. If you adhere to this general guideline, cooking rice is pretty simple. This ratio is what I always use, whereas I typically estimate 1 dl, 2/5 cup of rice for one person. This recipe calls for 1 dl, 2/5 cup of rice and 1.5 dl, 2/3 cup of water. After that, all you have to do is multiply by the number of people you are feeding. 1.5 dl, 2/3 cup of water to 1 dl, 2/5 cup of rice for one person. 2 dl, 4/5 cup of rice and 3 dl, 1 1/3 cup of water are enough for 2 people. There are 2 ways I can cook rice. There is a secure method that works with practically all varieties of rice. By using this technique, you should entirely prevent the rice from burning or sticking to the pan's bottom. I also have a quicker and easier method for making rice. Some varieties of rice, nevertheless, will burn to the bottom of the pot. I generally always use the quick approach since the kinds of rice I consume respond nicely to it, typically basmati rice. The secure approach. The technique is the most secure way to cook rice since it prevents the rice from burning in the pan. This technique ought to work with all varieties of rice. The guidelines: add the water to a saucepan, then put the heat on. When the water begins to boil, add the rice, cover the pan with a lid, and reduce the heat to one of your stove's lowest settings, 1 to 3. For 11 minutes, cover the pot and let the rice boil. When the time is up, remove the pan from the heat and let the rice simmer for an additional 11 minutes with the lid on. Avoid taking off the cover while the rice is cooking since this will allow water vapors to escape the pot and cause burnt rice. The quick approach. I typically use this procedure since it is the quickest and suits the majority of rice varieties. Some varieties of rice, meanwhile, are too delicate for this technique and can burn to the bottom of the pan. The guidelines: add the water to a saucepan, then increase the heat to high. Depending on your stove, the water will boil in a few minutes. Add the rice after the water begins to boil, cover the pan with a lid, and reduce the heat to one of the lower settings, setting 1 to 3. Rice should cook for 15 minutes after setting a timer. During this period, don't open the lid. The rice is finished and ready to be served after 15 minutes. Directions: cook rice. 1 to 2 15-minute preparation time. Time total, 15 minutes. Title in Danish: Kogris. Dinner is a category. Ingredients: 1 1/3 cups, 1 dl, of water. 4/5 cup of rice in 2 dl, basmati rice. Instructions: 1. Place the water in a saucepan and increase the heat to high. 2. Add the rice to the boiling water, cover the pan with a lid, and reduce the heat to one of the lowest settings, normally 1 to 3. The rice should now boil for 15 minutes. Keep in mind not to lift the lid at this time. 3. When the rice has finished cooking, it is ready to be served.